These two panels tell the story of Saxeva of Dover, who had a terrible stomach ache and a painful arm. And she had a vision of Thomas Becket, who told her to offer a candle. And in the second panel, we see her offering a candle, and she is healed. Now, for over 100 years, these two panels were actually identified as the story of another woman named Juliana, who had given birth and then her stomach swelled up terribly. But we know that this must be Saxeva because of the way that her arm is stretched out, and that shows that she had a very painful arm. In addition, Juliana never had a vision of Thomas Becket, and what we see on this first panel, Saxeva is definitely having a vision of Thomas Becket because he's standing right next to her. So one of my favorite pieces of glass in this entire window is the piece of glass on which Saxeva's head is painted. Her eyes are closed, that shows that she's having a vision, and her face is contorted in pain. You can tell her stomach and her arm are really hurting her. And then what's especially neat is at her neck, the glaziers have painted this beautiful pleated or embroidered decoration on the tunic that she's wearing. And there even looks to be sort of a brooch or even a jewel in the center there. Next to Saxeva, we see Becket standing there, and he's gesturing to his tomb as if to say, "Look, Saxeva, this is where you need to give the candle, to give your offering here." And then on the other side, we see one of these female helpers, and she is holding a coil or a wick right by Saxeva's shoulder. And what she's doing is she's about to measure Saxeva's painful arm. And this was something that was a very common practice at this time, was that if you were sick, you would measure the length of your body or the afflicted body part, and then make a candle to that size to give to the tomb or the shrine of the saint you were hoping would heal you. So in the days before electricity, you needed something to light up a tomb or a shrine, and that's why candles were an excellent offering to make to a saint. People still today light candles in Canterbury Cathedral and of course in other churches, either to remember someone who is ill or to honor someone who has died. So it's a tradition that really keeps going to the present day. So in the next panel, we see Saxeva at Becket's tomb, and there she is kneeling and giving her coil candle to Becket in thanks for her recovery. What's really interesting is what's happening behind her. And there we see a monk handing a big, elaborate book to a monastic servant. And we think this is meant to represent the taking up of Saxeva's story into that book. And we might even be meant to see Benedict, the miracle collector, in that monk who is standing behind Saxeva. So Canterbury Cathedral once had as many as 6 copies of Benedict's miracle collection. All of those have been lost, but we know about his text because copies were kept in other libraries across Europe. However, Canterbury Cathedral does still retain some medieval manuscripts in their original binding, and we can look at those to get a sense of what Benedict's miracle collection once would have looked like. In Benedict's account of Saxeva's miracle, he says that her illness caused her much pain of heart as well as of body because she was so ill she couldn't work and she really didn't want to beg. But when she recovered, he says, that she said she felt so good she thought she could fly. Isn't that a wonderful phrase? That's one of my favorite passages in the entire collection.